How important is winning to you, and why?
Well, I ain't gonna bitch out and sell my soul for it, Mix. But I would gladly trade someone else's soul for winning.
All right.
Zyara doesn't care about winning, she only cares about survival.
Okay.
See, the Fight Club turned something on in Twitter.
Oh no.
He beat the shit out of everybody, and he's now wanting to be champion of the world.
Oh dear.
It just felt empowering, so he wants to follow that and get more.
All right.
Man, it's a good thing Zyara makes sure to give him lots of tarts.
Right.
She's on his good list.
All right.
Unless it's winning against my never-ending contest of wills against Boo, I really don't care.
Okay. And Jinko.
I'm winning's nice, and it's not a thing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Close that out there. Okay, so who wants to give us a rundown of what you got up to last time?
We almost got ate by a shark.
Yes.
We salvaged a bunch of stuff from underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's about all I remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that
made
was
alcohol that could possibly make you poop gold.
Ah, yes. Yep. You were working on some fancy brews. Yep. So, to fill in a couple other things there. So last time, we started out kind of in the aftermath of that fight that you all had down on the docks, taking out these drow that had been after you. And, among the aftermath of that, you met this kind of odd, old, kind of treasure hunter lady that lives over there. And, she's particularly interested in the submersible craft that these drow had and kind of commissioned you to go get the pieces of it that you had sunk for her in exchange for basically free use of her own submersible that she had. And let's see, you also had Boo had another dream and found out a little bit more info. To refresh your memory there, Boo had heard the following while he was sleeping after that fight. Bronze scale of dragon, Alethea's tear, visage of that which you hold most dear. If a large debt you need to repay, bring these three to the vault to open the way. So, seemed to be some sort of key items phrase that was stored in this artifact that you guys have had for a little while here. But yeah, you guys went diving, went down, grabbed some things, had an encounter with a not so nice local of the harbor, who then got taken out by some other strange, kind of orange-colored thing that you didn't really get a good look at, but it was very large and chomped the heck out of it from underneath you while you were trying to escape. And yeah, you got things back to her, and that's pretty much where we left off. Down on the docks, you guys had safely made it back, kind of breathing heavily, recovering from a bit of a stressful time coming back up out of the water. Actually, I think you might have gone back to the inn too. You might actually, I think you might actually have all gone back to the inn because Mix was still there working on his stuff. We'll say that.
Mix was at Blackstaff Tower when we quit. He was looking up recipes.
Oh yes, that's right. Okay, all right. So you guys are kind of around in town then. Sounds good. So Mix, if you were at Blackstaff researching recipes, I assume after that you either went and got stuff or came back or got home. What kind of things are you doing there?
He's just looking up 2 potions for animal friendship and immunization.
That's right.
Fighting his revenge on the barkeeper who infested us with rats.
Ah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you did manage to get info on that from Blackstaff, and the ingredients weren't too particularly difficult to find. Those are fairly low level spells, and so getting ingredients for those was not too particularly difficult. So I guess what were you planning on doing with these to that barkeep?
Well, the potion of animal friendship would allow me to cast it as many times as I wanted over the course of, I believe it's an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was going to shrink myself and ride my weasel around the sewers and make all the rats my friends and then lead them into this pub.
Oh my god. That's fucking fantastic. That's a great idea. Okay. Now are you letting anyone else know about this plan, or are you kind of just going off on this on your own here?
Well, I'm going to need Boo to make somebody invisible so they can open the door as soon as I start leading the rats out of the sewers.
Okay. All right. So we'll say Mix, you've been over at the tower, you've been out getting stuff. You all see. You're back at the rest of you are back at Troll School or whatever, and you see Boo come in through the front door, or not Boo. You see Mix come in through the front door with clearly done some shopping and some research, maybe some scrolls, maybe some ingredients, some other vials. Starts making his way over to his little man cave in the basement.
I would go down and get to work. I'll explain what I need help with when I'm ready. Go down in my little basement of horrors.
Okay. All right. What are the rest of you up to while he's preparing this little scheme?
Had Torda and I gotten back to the house, or did we were we still at, I can't remember her name.
Grinda.
Yeah. Were we still there? But what was going on there? I can't remember.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of up to you too, because last where we left off, you guys were still down there by Grinda's. You'd gotten stuff back. She was happy to see you alive, and so yeah, it's up to you two where you all had gone after that point. If you guys went right back to the house, cool. Then you're at the house. Unless there's something else you two are up to.
I, for one, after dealing with that shit, 'cause I don't like being in situations where I may lose my mortality before I deal with that mortality problem. So I'll get out of the sub and I'll be like, Torta, did you see what was going on?
Oh,
Jeez.
that's right. Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to see any of this, like, because you had the salvage on the front. You just heard shit getting fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
Torta's got like the nice shark bite scar now.
Yes,
So he's
he
like,
does.
hell yeah, I saw what happened. How did you miss that giant shark? And he's like pointing to the bite, like, look.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus. What's a fucking Jesus god? Helm. Oh, God. Man, I never would have imagined. Well, I guess, I mean, it would make sense there would be beasts like that in the harbor. I wonder if we could tame one.
I kicked the shit out of it. And then something bigger ate it.
Oh, shit.
I was going to drag it back to Troll Skull.
Made good eating. I bet we could have had a pretty good special.
I wanted to put it on my wall. Just the head.
I think this called for some tarts, like, because we survived that.
Seems
Hell
like a
yeah,
pretty good
man,
plan.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, let's go.
All right. So you two kind of triumphantly head off from the docks back across town. I mean, you got quite a good chunk of town to cross, so you definitely make your way past a few, bakeries in that time. Definitely easy enough to pick up some tarts along the way.
I'm broke. There's no picking up. I'll cast invisibility and use Mage Hand to acquire the tarts.
All right. Roll me a. I guess we'll roll a stealth check for me, and we'll see if you manage to yoink some tarts off the tables without notice.
Now, I could argue that I should, like, if I'm invisible and I'm using like Mage Hand, I should have advantage on any stealth rolls.
I agree with that argument. Go ahead.
I'd also argue that it's sleight of hand, but it's the same exact bonus.
That's fair. That makes sense. Well, either way, with that, yeah, definitely no trouble. I think with that, I mean, like the owner of the bakery doesn't like notice anything at all. I think there's probably perhaps like a small child with like their family there who is curiously intrigued by a tart that kind of floats on its own out the door. But they don't really know what to do about it, and they're more just kind of amazed. But otherwise, there doesn't really seem to be much notice of the tarts that you pilfer there.
So how is the bakery set out? Is it like open tables of tarts, or is it like a counter?
I'd say it's kind of a mix of both. So like it has its own little. It's kind of within a small building, like the first floor of like a 2-story building, and like going in the front door, there's there's some tables on the inside that are laid out with a variety of things, including tarts, but other baked goods, like, some loaves and other stuff like that. And then there is like a counter as well that has some more in kind of a case. Some of like the larger things, like some some cakes and stuff like that. But a lot of kind of the hand food type stuff is kind of on these tables inside, and people just kind of come in and pick up a few, put them in a bag, and take them over to the counter to pay.
So Toto watches Boo go in, come back out with like a tart or two. He's like, hold my ale. Goes in, drops the ring right before puts the ring on right before he walks in, walks to the table, grabs a tray, walks out.
Okay. All right. I mean, with that, hey, you're not very visible, but this cloud around you is still pretty visible.
Yeah, I'm using that as an element of surprise.
Okay. I guess go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check for me then too. With that. Okay. So I mean, Torna, you're kind of like wandering over towards this shop, and you get in there, you slip this ring on, and it's pretty obvious to pretty much everyone in there, that like they don't see you, of course, but they see this strange cloud mist form thing just kind of appear in the middle. And some of like the regular townsfolk are a little bit off put by this. There's like maybe a woman screams and kind of runs out of the shop, and the owner of the bakery kind of tries like reaching behind the counter for some sort of defensive weapon. It seems like he mostly just has like a blunt object, like a rolling pin or something like that. But you go and you reach over and grab one of these trays and kind of pull it into your little fog field, and nobody really seems to notice that in the commotion of sorts. Most of them are more concerned by this strange, somewhat invisible form that's appeared in the shop. And you manage to make it back outside with this tray. People are kind of scattering a little bit. You hear a few people kind of calling for the guard. You hear the bakery owner calling for the guard, that there's like some strange apparition in his store. I assume you kind of like go down off like an alleyway or something like that before you take this ring off. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna tell Boo to open his bag and just throw all the tarts in there.
All right. So you do manage to make off with those and kind of get out of sight. I mean, Boo, you're already invisible, and you've got this ring on, and you two manage to kind of make it out of kind of off the main drag a bit before at least Torta, you take your ring off. You see as you guys are maybe coming back out to just kind of keep heading back on your way. You see like a guard like questioning the bakery owner, trying to get some more information about what he saw. But they don't really seem to have much of a good lead on anything there, besides weird ghost. We got a pretty good haul.
Should we go mess with the guard? It was the ghost of tarts past. I'll head back to Troll Skull with my tart score.
I'll follow him, puffing on my pipe the whole way. Happily leaving a cloud of like smoke behind nothing.
All right. Nice, very nice. All right, so you guys make it back to Troll Skull then, with your nice entire tray of tarts haul. I think with that, everybody's back at Troll Skull here. I mean, Mix, you've probably been working on your stuff in the basement for a while. Probably were able to mix up these potions that you had. They're fairly simple, so it didn't take too much work on your part. Getting those put together.
Yeah, as soon as they're done, Mix is gonna run upstairs, real excited,
Okay.
and he's gonna be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna need your help in about an hour."
Was that a sigh from Boo?
I'm guessing so. Hey, remember the tavern owner who tried to screw us? How would you like revenge?
I'm not quite ready for revenge. It'll be another 70 or 80 years. But I'm gladly willing to help you in the off chance that it injures you enough to free me from this bond.
Fine. All you gotta do is stand by his front door invisible, and I'll tell you when to open it.
I will just shake my head and pull out a piece of string with like a like it's a little knot tied around a piece of wood, and I'll say some magic words, and I'll say this This will help you. My time is more valuable than this. And wander off. I'll give him an unseen servant.
Okay. And then, like the unseen servant, is that pretty much just act like kind of like a simple command type?
Yeah, it's an invisible, mindless, shapeless force that does very simple tasks. AC 10, 1 hit point. It's got a 2 strength, so it's not super strong.
Yeah.
And then I can command it mentally to move and interact with objects. And it could do any simple task that a human servant could do to the best of its ability, and then it just waits. So I'll command it to open the door when Mix tells it to.
All right. Okay, that works. Good. Jinko, Zara, you guys are probably around here, kind of hearing this scheme go down.
In theory.
In theory.
Well, Mix is going to go to the front door, and you're going to see him tie like a little piece of leather thong around his ferret's neck, set it on the floor, and he's going to stand over it. And then you're going to see him drink this potion and start shrinking.
All right. Does it for like those kind of spells? Does it say any sort of like how long it takes for you to, or how long that lasts?
4 hours.
4 hours. Okay. Okay.
Well, it's 1d4 hours.
1d4
No
hours.
concentration
Okay.
required.
All right. Let me. We'll just roll me a d4 and we'll. Nice. Well, 4 hours. Okay, so you got a good chunk of time here then. So you all are kind of sitting here in Troll Skull, and Mix is chugging this, and and over the course of maybe a few seconds, you see him pretty rapidly shrinking down to the size of his little weasel familiar, and he's now down there on the floor, standing next to his weasel. Little mini Mix.
Are any of the cats around?
That's a good question. Let me see. Let's see. We'll roll this and see evens. Okay. Yes, one of the cats is around. So Mix, like you're standing on next to your weasel. You're kind of getting things set up to mount up and start riding this little buddy around. And you kind of look over to your left, and there's some of the little booths and like that people sit at here, and you can see it at this level down near the ground. Because you're probably what, like 6 inches tall at this point, probably like maybe 12 inches tall, something like that. Pretty small.
Oh no, he'd be about the height of a weasel's shoulder, so 4 inches.
Okay.
He'd be big enough to ride the weasel.
Okay, sure. But yeah, so you're kind of looking off, and you see over, underneath one of the booths on the side of the room here, one of the cats is underneath the booth, kind of staring intently in your direction. It's definitely following your every move. Every once in a while, you can see its butt wiggle a little bit.
The most important question is Bert or Ed who's watching him.
Let's see. Which one is it? It's Bert.
Get him, Bert.
I love that we're having to make you roll for this.
So yes, it is Bert. And at least at the moment, nobody else really knows that Bert's there. He's like underneath the booth. Like he was like chilling under there. It's his hiding spot. So it's really just you mixed down the floor that you can see this, this cat seemingly gonna head at you.
Oh, Mix knows that if the cat comes at him, he'll go flying back across the room in a second. So he's just gonna mount up on his weasel and start taking off out the front of Troll Skull.
Okay. All right. So Mix heads out, and like as you go out the front door, all of you suddenly hear kind of a rapid skittering of kitty claws on the wood, and you see Bert suddenly dart out from underneath this booth. Maybe going between some of your feet, and starts making his way toward the door where Mix just was a moment ago. and like Mix, like you're dashing away as fast as you can on your little weasel right now. But you see Bert kind of happily, maybe a little derpily, making his way across the floor towards you as you head out the door.
If he wants to play, that's okay.
How is there like a speed for how fast your familiar goes? I don't know if that's, or is it just like whatever happens to be the speed of a weasel? I assume.
Just happens to be a speed of a weasel. I don't know how fast it goes.
Okay.
It's maybe about as fast as a rat.
Let's see. Let me look it up. Let's see. Alright, so Weasel looks like has a speed of 30 feet. A cat has a speed of 40 feet. Alright.
Excellent.
All right. So mixed with your weasel, like where were you heading? Like, and you out the front door. Like, where are you aiming to get to with your weasel?
There is a sewer entrance, I believe, somewhere along the road in front of Troll Skull.
I believe you are correct. Let me
Basically, the nearest sewer drain. I'm heading for that.
near sewer drain. Here, I'll get the Troll Skull up here. I think. Okay, it would be that one. Okay. So the nearest one here, or like the nearest like access. Well, I guess since you're this small, I guess you would just need a drain. You wouldn't need like an access vent. So closest then would probably be like the corner to the north with the road. So probably a good. It's like a good 50 feet or so. Okay. So you start making your way to the north, kind of towards that corner. There's, a storm drain of sorts there in the cobblestone, and you're making your way across the street, and you see Bert coming out the front of your door, chasing after you, and kind of making. Like you can see that he's getting closer. He's kind of gaining on you as he's coming out. He seems to have a little bit of advantage speed wise over your weasel here, and at least from your estimation, it looks like he will probably be able to get to you not too long before you get to the storm drain entrance.
Am I really gonna have to fight one of our house cats?
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not fight it. He's probably in more of a playful mood.
Mix is just gonna sigh and just keep riding on, and hope that he's just wanting to play and that he's not going to have to like zap the house cat.
All right. All right. So you make it across the street. You're kind of darting between some of the people that pass by, and they don't really seem to take too much notice. I mean, it's a big city. There's rats around. People aren't too unused to seeing small furry creatures darting around. You see a couple of people seeing this cat kind of coming out here, and they're kind of laughing at this cat making its way at you, and you manage to get to the storm drain like just as Bert catches up to you, and he's got like his tongue sticking a little bit out of his mouth, got a little blep going on, and he doesn't have like his claws out, but he tries to bap at you a little bit, and manages to bonk the back end of your weasel just as you get to the storm drain, and you do you go into the storm drain, kind of twirling, falling down into it on your weasel, not the most graceful of looks you would have wanted.
Just a little love tap on the butt.
Just a little love tap on the butt. And you kind of land, and you land a little awkwardly, kind of on a little lip down inside the storm drain. Like, it hasn't rained super recently, so it's not like there's like a lot of flowing water down here right now. There's still kind of like a little bit of a trickle coming through the system, but it's not too inundated right now. And you find yourself in kind of a small sewer pipe. Like, this particular section isn't really of a size that full-size humans would usually pass through. No problem for you. You're only 4 inches tall. Like, it still looks quite large to you at your size, but definitely not as big as some of the other sewers that you guys have been in before. But
well, I'm gonna make my way working towards the nearest storm drain to oh crap, what's the name of his place?
His place is Emic Froon. Froon's Brews. The nearest storm drain to his place would still be this storm drain, because he's literally like 2 buildings over from you guys.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go on the hunt for rats and leave them out of the sewers.
Okay. All right. So you spend some time kind of riding around with your weasel here, and within not too much time, you manage to find a decent enough number of rats coming around in here. We'll say, let me roll a dice and we'll see how much. Does the animal friendship, does that have like a set number of like creatures it can friend, or is it just kind of like it's just whatever? Okay, cool.
For an hour, like if I saw 100 rats in an hour, I could cast it
Cool.
100 times.
All right.
And it lasts for 4 hours. And if rats have a -4 intelligence, so they are not immune, and they have to make a DC something wisdom saving throw, or become charmed.
Or become what?
Charmed.
Oh, charmed. Charmed. Okay. Let me see what their. Okay, DC Wisdom. Okay, and what's your spell DC?
Actually, don't know whose spell DC.
Let me see. Should be in here somewhere. Gotta be one of these that have a 4. It looks like it's 14. Okay, cool. So they fail that. Let me see how many rats you managed to get going for you here. Okay, not bad. All right, so going around, just kind of in the nearby sewers here. Like you don't get, you don't go too far. Like you're not very large, and so super long distances are going to take a long time. But at least in like the kind of sewer pipes underneath the Troll Skull area, you manage to friendship 27 rats. And they're currently just kind of following you around. Like you're a little weasel captain.
Well, I mean, somebody's gonna have to get down and actually look at the weasel to see me. So,
Yeah, right. All right, so you've got a couple dozen rats here.
I'm going to start leading them out of the sewer until they're all like in a bunch with me, and we're going to Mr. Brew's place, and they're gonna go inside and have a party.
All right, sounds like a plan. All right, so let's see what the time of day. See what time of day would it be right now? So you guys would have been, because you guys went and slept, and you had all your ocean shenanigans. That's actually probably later in the afternoon, maybe even the evenings. This might be even more interesting because it might be open right now, so that'll have a nice effect on his customer base. Uh, so you make your way back towards the storm drain that you had previously come out of, and lead these rats up the wall, and you kind of poke your weasel up out of the grate to kind of get a view of the surroundings here. And it's kind of maybe that like kind of golden hour time of the day. Still a decent amount of people around on the street out here, but the shadows are long, and especially down here in between some of these buildings like Troll Skull, being like 3.5, 4 stories tall, and some of these other things. There's definitely some shadow down at the street level that you can take advantage of. And it looks, pretty clear to you. I mean, it's not too difficult to pop out of the storm drain and then kind of get up, along some of these buildings, so you're not just like, a big old horde of rats in the middle of the road. And you manage to lead these over towards the front door of Fruit's Brews, and you guys are all currently hiding with these rats, or you're currently with these rats, kind of hiding amongst some barrels that are in the front of Froon's place, kind of right next to his door. And you can see like the lights are on inside. You can see some light coming out the windows while you've been like, coming in here with the rats. You've seen maybe one person like go into the door.
I'm gonna wait to see if any more people come in. Like, I want to do as much damage to him as possible.
Okay. So you wait. Guess how long are you wanting to wait to see?
Well, I'm assuming I would probably have an hour until the spell ended. Probably took me an hour to get here, so I probably have 2 hours left before I can...
I'd say so. That's fair. Yeah.
I'd wait an hour and then go, no matter what.
Okay. Let's see. So in that time, if you're kind of waiting here with these rats, you see three other people come. Mostly, all of them just kind of on their own. It really does not seem like he has the most popular of businesses.
It's about to get a lot worse. I'm gonna move all the rats in front of the door and instruct the thing who gave me to bash it open.
Okay.
We're all racing in.
Okay. All right. So the unseen servant Boo gave you, pushes this door in as hard as it can, and it kind of bangs. against the back wall here, and you're kind of standing in front of this with the rats. You're ready to lead the charge, and the door opens, and you see inside is a pretty spitting image of a pretty shitty dive bar type place. Not very impressive at all. A lot of the the tables in here are pretty rough. Definitely showing their age a bit. Some of the chairs and stools that are around look a little bit questionable in terms of their structural integrity. A couple of people that are in here, they're mostly all just like sitting over at the main bar, currently facing away from you. It seems it's mostly just them, maybe even some friends of Emmix or his regulars or something. They all just kind of sit up there, but there's not really anybody else at like the tables. But as this door bangs open, you see Emmix is over behind the bar there, and you see his head kind of shoot up, and two of the other people at the bar kind of a little drowsily kind of look around. And they can't really see much. The light in here is not so good. Like there's a few lanterns, but down at the floor level where you're at, you're still kind of mostly in shadow. And since you're so short, like all they really saw was that like the door opened fast, and you come rushing in here with these rats. What are you doing?
I'm gonna charge the bar with the rats in tow and start the nearest patron. I'm gonna have my weasel climb up and riding on his back,
All right.
and then jump up on the bar.
All right. So, you come charging across. For the rats, are you like wanting them to try to just kind of be knocking stuff off behind the bar? Like, what are you kind of directing them to do?
I'm telling them this is their new palace and to have fun.
All right.
Just go, throw in a rat party.
Have a rat party. All right. Sounds good. So, you all come rushing across, and at first, like none of them really seem to notice at first, like what's going on. But like the one nearest to you, sitting at the bar, like he had turned around a little bit towards the door, and he was still kind of looking around. And as you all got closer, the sound of all your little feet, he seems to have noticed it, and he kind of lets out a weird little yelp as he sees this little wave of rats kind of crash against the bar. Some of them running around behind into the light, and you quickly see kind of Emmett looking down at the floor. He starts kind of jumping up and down. Tries reaching for like you see him like reach under the bar and reach for kind of a cruddy knife, like a chef's knife that he has there, and you see him trying to go after some of these rats as they scurry around through the shelves in the back. You hear the breaking of glass as some of like the mugs and things get knocked off. You hear them kind of skittering around underneath some of the shelving here, getting into some of the bags of stuff that are along this back side here. And you come running up behind that nearest guy at the bar and start making your way, latch onto his shoes, running up the outside of his leg. And he notices, like, he's definitely a few kind of shitty drinks in, so his movements are not the best in terms of coordination, but he's trying to slap at you as best as he can as you're kind of dodging around with this weasel. And you eventually get up on him, leap off, and find yourself on top of the bar here, with these 4 patrons kind of looking at you. The nearest one with his hands out already, trying to slap at you, and the other one's looking confused. One of them looks like he's about to bust out laughing. Emmett hasn't noticed you, at least. He's still kind of trying to go after all these rats that are going around behind the bar.
Oh, I'm gonna go into gaseous form and a puff of smoke and start floating in a mini puff of smoke out the door and tell my weasel to come home when he's done.
All right, good plan. All right, so you cast your gaseous form off your weasel here, and these rats are causing a ruckus as you're kind of floating around above them here. Um, the one guy who looked like he was about to bust out laughing, he eventually does, and just starts kind of laying into Emick, laughing his ass off. He thinks this whole situation is hilarious. Um, One of the other ones, looks a bit disgusted. The one that you have been like crawling all over is still kind of like slapping himself all over. He isn't quite sure if you're still there or not. And like the rats that were on the floor definitely seem to be causing some damage. You can see some, excuse me, you can see some liquids leaking over the floor. You can see a couple of the rats have managed to make their way into the kind of the back area where the kitchen of sorts is, and are probably getting up to no good there. So you feel pretty satisfied with the bit of chaos that you've caused here, and float your way back out the door.
Nyx is gonna be laughing his ass off the whole way back to Troll Skull. He's gonna find that the most hilarious thing ever.
All right. So you come floating back across the street, still in your little mini cloud form. As you're getting near the door, you can see kind of on like the railing outside, Bert's currently hanging out there, and he has his eye on you as you're kind of floating by as this little weird cloud. He sees you kind of float past, lets out a little meow.
I'm gonna float down and titter in front of Bert until I grow large right in front of his face and scare the shit out of the cat.
All right. So you kind of float around in front of Bert here in your gaseous form, and he's definitely intrigued by this. And a couple times you can see him kind of tentatively reaching his paw out to try to figure out what's going on here. And after not too much time, you kind of revert back to your original form, and find yourself kind of standing over him here. And Bert definitely looks quite surprised at this. He's kind of hunched back a little bit here on the railing outside of Troll Skull. His eyes are huge, his ears are back, and he's kind of got this what the fuck look on his face as you return to your original self.
Oh, I'm just gonna pick him up and walk into Troll Skull, still laughing my ass off.
All right. So the rest of you see Mix come in. He's been gone for a bit, holding Bert. Doesn't seem like Bert was successful in eating him. What are the rest of you doing here in Troll Skull? As Mix comes in laughing, which is not probably not one of the more ordinary things you see Mix doing.
So I assume your revenge mission went well.
Nyx, in between laughters, be like, "You have to go down there and look at that. That is hilarious." Let's just say he won't be sending rats our way again.
Well, I would hope not. I'd hate to see what you concocted if he did it a second time.
Indeed.
Well, you know what I used to shrink myself? I'd slip that in his drink and drop him in the sewer. Mix is just gonna walk off, still laughing hysterically. Like it's not even the normal laugh. It's gonna be a kind of like this maniacal, disturbing kind of laugh.
Right. All right.
Sometimes that scares me.
Sometimes?
Well, I mean, bigger than him.
I suppose that's true.
Mix is gonna turn around and be like,
Catch him in.
I could change that.
She'll just kind of let him threaten me and like puff herself up big.
for like the first time since the gladiatorial style fighting,
Mm-hmm.
Nyx is actually in a good mood. I mean, he's happy as hell. He's not going to his basement. He's actually sitting up in the bar and drinking.
Okay, nice. Right, and like with the with the time of day that it is, I mean, you guys are all up here at the bar. Your usual hours are here, and the people that you've hired that kind of help run the place have been around. Some of your regulars are here, but you have a nice evening. A little bit time to relax a bit after shenanigans underwater and this little revenge plot, and you kind of have a nice chill evening after all that to kind of laugh the cares away with some of your regulars. While you all are up here, among the various people in the neighborhood that come by, Raynar comes by. You guys, you're around in the bar, and in through the front door comes Raynar on his own this time. Doesn't have any of his friends with him. Makes his way over to his usual spot, and kind of motions for the waiter that you guys had hired, who's kind of serving people, to bring him his usual drinks here. Jinku, he probably sees you kind of standing nearby, and he's like, "Oh, hello, Jinku. How are you doing?"
Very well, thank you.
Oh, that's good to hear. I assume things are going well on the investigation of sorts you all have been continuing on.
Yeah. Sure. Pocket peanut?
Why
I'll
not?
hold my hand with some pocket peanuts.
Why not? A little salt goes well with the rest of this. Why not? He'll happily take those out of your hand and chuck the handful into his mouth. And he's kind of like sitting there munching on these peanuts here. Between mouthfuls, he's like, "So have you found anything new?" I haven't actually. I don't think I've heard from you all in a while. Like, not since the the incident with the Growlhuns. Yeah, and he kind of says that softly under his voice. He doesn't really want to bring too much attention.
Yeah. You should probably talk to Boo and Nixon's IR. They keep track of this stuff. You.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, you guys are all kind of up here at the bar, and you see him, talking to Jinko over here. Boo, there are any of you coming over to Raynar and all?
If somebody tells me, I'm probably upstairs trying to figure out how to mash a soul into this box I have.
Wait, which box?
I don't know. I've got a charred failed experiment as part of my background. You and me know what I'm doing with this.
All right. All right. Yeah, I guess Boo, you're probably upstairs. So I guess Sarah, if you're around here.
What?
Are you like Raynar's been in here? He's talking to Jinku. You go over and talk to him. It's been a little while since you guys have seen Raynar.
I'm sorry, I'm probably not the best person to talk a lot tonight.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, Boo, you're upstairs working on this box thing here. So So I guess if you're trying to mash a soul in this box, what's this? Is it, what, are you trying to mash your soul in this box, or what soul you got there?
Well, I'm just trying to build the phylactery right now.
Oh, just build a phylactery. Okay.
I need an innocent person's soul.
Well, good luck with that.
Kids exist for a reason.
Oh dear.
And puppy dogs.
Oh God. This phylactery building, what does it look like? Is it like a pretty like nondescript looking thing, or like what? Like what are you trying to?
I think with Boo being an ISA engineer, I think that it is probably like it looks like kind of a complex clockwork device with like a teardrop shaped piece of glass in the middle, and like no matter which way you turn it, the glass like will stay, you know, in that shape, like it's a gyroscopic type deal. However,
Okay.
you know, every time I've tried to do anything with this, it's resulted in disaster. So like, there's bits of like char. You know, some of the cogs are like charred and blackened, and the the glass is scorched and stuff from failing before.
Okay. So it sounds like it kind of would look, I guess, kind of like a Dwemer cube or something from like Skyrim.
Yeah. If you took a Dwemer cube and like put it in like a sooty fire for a little bit and then pulled it back out,
okay,
that's what it is. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you're taking away with this. While you are up here working on this, let me see. 1 second here. Where did I put that? No. It's not good. Hold on. Let me see if I can find another place this is at. The site that I use has a lot of information on this, and for some reason it's not loading right now. Let me try the Internet Archive. I hope their site didn't die, because that was a very useful website. Alright, let's try this. Back. Come on. Come on. Crap. Okay. I don't know why that's not working right now. All right. Did I write this anywhere else? Okay, so while you are working on your little phylactery box here, you keep kind of in the back of your head, feeling this kind of strange pull sorts. And you almost kind of hear this kind of faint whispering of sorts every once in a while. Like, if you know those times where you're like sitting around, like you're by yourself or whatever, and like you think you hear someone say something or somebody like call your name or something like that, and there's nobody else around. Like you keep having that kind of sensation while you're working on your little phylactery box here.
Sorry, I didn't hear you there. My speaker cut
Oh, sorry about that. So as you're working on your phylactery here, like you keep having this weird sensation, like almost kind of like a pull at like the back of your head, and like you keep getting like the feeling like somebody was like saying something, or maybe even like saying your name, but you didn't exactly hear it, and there's like nobody else here. There's kind of this weird like presence that you keep just kind of keep feeling here in your room while you're working on this.
I think that would probably make me nervous enough to stop for now.
Okay.
Like hearing voices and shit in my head is not where we're going with this.
Okay. So like you put down your little project here, and you're kind of sitting there in your room, kind of looking around, and it's not very odd. Like this isn't like a constant thing. That like it's not like this. It's not like a constant pull or a constant like voice or anything like that. It's just like every once in a while you get this little like just kind of in like the back of your head. And it still keeps happening. Like every once in a while, like maybe every few minutes or so or something like that, you kind of get this weird kind of presence feeling again.
I think at that point, that's enough to probably drive me downstairs. If it hasn't happened before, that's a little bit of success, but I probably would. I'm smart enough to probably want to do some research and make sure that's what I'm supposed to.
Okay. I mean, in terms of in terms of it happening before while you were awake, it hasn't. But it does feel similar to some of these like weird dreams you've been having.
I gotta figure out a way to get this shit out of my dreams here too. That bugs me. So I'll go downstairs and like I'm probably kind of disturbed at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like you make your way downstairs to the bar. You see the the usual people around. You're kind of surprised to see Mix is up here among them, seemingly having like a decent time tonight. Having a drink, laughing a bit, that sort of thing. And you see, Raynor's kind of on his own at this point. He was talking to Jinku earlier, but Jinku has since gone on to do some of her own things. But you see him over at a booth nearby on his own. Seemingly halfway through, like just kind of like a regular old tankard of ale as usual that he usually gets.
Oh, Boo likes Raynor, so he'll grab another pint of ale and take it over to him, and say, "Here on the house for a good friend like you."
Ah, Boo, it's good to see you. I appreciate it. How have things been going, my friend?
Well, they've been going all right. Some things good, some things bad. You know how it is.
Yes, yes. this is the way things tend to go. Have you managed to find anything else out about what's going on with my father? I haven't. I know there was all of the trouble with the the Crawlhens that you all had gone through, but I don't think I'd heard anything else since then. It's been a little while. Have you made any progress?
Yes, we're working on it. We found some pretty good information. Chasing some leads down, doing what we can to try and figure this out. We're still looking for tying up some final loose ends here in regards to what your father was doing, but I'll be honest. I mean, I haven't actually been really looking for your father. I'm going to be frank, Raynor. Between you and me, he's kind of a piece of shit, and I'm not all that incentivized to look for him. I'm into this for other reasons. Maybe somebody else in the group is looking for your dad, but I don't personally like the man. He treated that painter lady really poorly, in my opinion. And for that, I hope he stays wherever we think he is, which is in Neverwinter, is where we suspect him to be. I hope it's cold there. I hope his balls stick to the chair every time he sits down.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice, friend. I'm well aware of my father's faults. And I don't expect you to look for him. I mean, as far as I'm aware, he is still in Neverwinter. I believe the issue at hand was more of what he has stored somewhere.
That we're getting very close. I'd say we're very close.
Oh, have you managed to locate where this is at?
No, we did not locate. We do. We're working on getting the keys to the door before we find the door. You know what I'm saying, man?
Keys to the door. I guess it makes sense that there would be keys. Like, is there like a physical key? I mean, I can check and see if there's. Maybe he left something at he left something at the estate. Do you have any idea what they look like?
Yes. One of them was an eyeball type looking thing, I think. I cut out, some companion's eyes, and they didn't seem to work. So we got this. No, like that doesn't even phase Boost. Like he just keeps on trucking it. Show him the thing, and then I'll explain the dream that I had to him as well. Fairly quiet. How busy is the bar? I'm not going to be talking about this stuff I guess in a real busy area. So
yeah,
I'm telling him secret stuff. I would probably take him to the kitchen or something, in the guise of getting him more ale or something like that to tell him the secret stuff.
Sure. Like the bar, it is fairly busy, and you guys are kind of in a corner. But yeah, I can definitely understand, not wanting to be out among everybody because who knows who's listening. But yeah, if you're wanting to give him the deets, you could certainly take him kind of in the back room or up to the kind of main residence area maybe, if you wanted to get away from the staff in the kitchen too. You can certainly do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll explain the dream I had and everything, and the different things that we're looking for.
Okay. So go ahead.
Tell him that I want to. Can I do an insight check and just
yeah,
see if this? I want to. I guess if he's surprised by this information, or make sure that this seems like new information that he's still kind of coming off as trustworthy to me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and roll an insight check for me then.
If he's not trustworthy, I'll stuff his soul in my fucking box.
All right. So from insight read on him, yeah, he does seem kind of genuinely surprised by all of this. I mean, kind of like you've in times that you've spoken to him before, this whole vault thing seems to be this weird hole in everyone's mind. Like him and like the painter lady and anyone else that was like around him, or like anyone else, like they like it all. Nobody seems to really have like a memory of like what this might be or where this might be or anything like that. It's like it was, it's like it was erased somehow, and so finding out that there's like keys to this vault. I mean, you could tell like from talking to him, he's like, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Of course, there's keys to like a vault. But he definitely seems like surprised to know this. Because at least as far as anyone had found out so far, like pretty much everyone just knew like there is a vault, and supposedly there's a whole fuck ton of gold in it. But that's about all anyone really could muster before.
I'll let him live today then.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right. So you you retell him this little key phrase rhyme thing that you got, and he kind of sits there thinking for a bit, and he's like, well, I can't really say I know of any dragons, but the other two, Alethea's tear was that was a gift that my father gave to my mother on their wedding day. Where it is now, I'm not quite sure. I mean, likely it would have still been. Likely would have been buried with her, I believe, when she passed away. But other than that, I'm not sure where else that might be. It was I remember it from when I was very young. It was a very magnificent sapphire brooch that he gifted her, and it was kind of a teardrop shape, and she would often wear it on, out about on the town when she and Daggelt would, go to events and things like that. She held it very close to her. It meant a lot. I think it was a very kind of precious reminder of their relationship. But yeah, I have not seen that in quite some time. Like I said, probably not since she passed away. So her vault is probably the best guess I would have as to where something like that might be. As for visage of what he holds most dear, I mean, knowing my father, it's probably a picture of himself. Spug bastard.
He is a bastard. Would you be, like, adverse to me killing him if I ever found him?
Well, I mean, he is still my father in the end, and he certainly made a lot of mistakes. I mean, maybe up in Neverwinter he's paying for them somehow. I'm not really sure. I mean, and you'd probably get in a lot of trouble for it, as it were. You've already had your run-ins with the law around here. Probably not best to kill someone who was formerly a Lord of Waterdeep. I doubt that would end well for you. So,
well, that's I've heard that, but well, I've been there. I mean, I have been proven innocent in the murder of nobles of Waterdeep. Anyway, back on track. So your mother, she's not around, right? Was she maybe buried with this thing? You said it might be in the vault. Can we go look at your vault?
well, yeah, it might be in her tomb, where she's laid to rest. The family has like a bit of an area in the City of the Dead, over in the southeast part of Waterdeep, where all of our ancestors have been laid up. And when my mother passed away, my father waylaid one of the tombs there for her. And I would expect that if that brooch is anywhere, it's probably still on her person. I mean, I don't really like the idea of desecrating my mother's tomb, but that's about the only lead I can think of for something like that.
I understand the idea is distasteful, but I can promise you that if you give your blessing for us to, or at least me to take a look and investigate this a little bit, I can promise you that I will show your mother more respect than I show any living being.
All right. Well, I mean, if you can manage to be cautious about it and not disturb it too much. I mean, it was a brooch, so if it was, if it is still there, I would assume that they, pinned it on the outside of her clothing. I can't say I really remember much from when she was buried. She wore that thing all the time, so whether or not it was there wasn't really something I, clearly remember. But if it's still there, it should likely still be pinned on the outside of her burial clothing.
I will not even lay my own hand upon her. I will ensure that the only thing we touch is this brooch, and if at all possible, I give you my word upon my potentially immortal soul that when we are done with this brooch, we will make sure that not only do we put it back where we got it, but I will give it a good cleaning and whatnot as well. For just I want to stress, like we don't want to do this, but there's millions of coins of gold at stake, and well, sometimes you got to disturb the dead to earn some money. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly. Well, I guess if you all want to look into that, that would be fine. As for that other clue, I mean, like I said, I'm not really sure on the dragon front. That'll probably be a bit of a challenge. But, I mean, I can certainly find an image of my father. There's certainly plenty around my home. I mean, if you like, I could, come with you whenever you go to open this place and bring, like, a painting or something of him with me.
I will discuss bringing you along with my compatriots. You can understand how that much gold might make people nervous, and that's not something I can speak for. We've got some of us that are just really dumb, and you never know which way they're gonna go. You know.
Fair enough, fair enough. Um, well, I can certainly believe I can take care of that part of it for you. And I hope that you're able to find more about where it is in the first place, where how we use these. Kind of a strange key, though. I mean, why would or how would a bit of jewelry and a painting and something be used as a key?
Magic works in ways that you mortals can't even begin to comprehend sometimes. Why do I need a piece of string tied around some wood in order to have an invisible slave person? I don't know.
Well, I can't say I'm particularly familiar with the ways of magic. That's a bit out of my wheelhouse. But I guess, with those sorts of things, stranger things have been seen in the world, so who knows what's possible.
Well, anything's possible if you study or
Okay, so you have a lovely rest of the evening here. Boo, you got a little information here out of Rainarm. So I guess what do you do with that info, Boo, about Rainar's mother? Like, are you guys gonna go act on this like right now, or what kind of what are you thinking here?
I'll wait till like the bar's closed up for the night, and I'll say, Mix, I'm your potential girlfriend, and then I'll explain what we've got to do.
All right.
And Jinku will like whisper to whoever's girl. Why would he try to sit with a dead person? Who would date a dead person?
Someone who doesn't really have any other option. That being said, I don't think we have to like touch the dead person. If we can get there, I can use magic to lift the brooch we need off of the body, and I promised him we would put it back when we were done. So you guys, does anybody have any qualms against some good old-fashioned grave robbing, or?
Nope. All good here.
I don't have any qualms about anything.
That's good.
Nix is just really drunk, so he doesn't give up buying shit.
This seems like a good plan. All right. So with that, are you guys all wanting to head over to the City of the Dead tonight then?
I mean, no time like isn't.
Fair enough. All right. So let me get a map up here for you. So the City of the Dead is kind of over on the eastern side of Waterdeep here. Let's see. So, I mean, you all know of this place. You've been around there a little bit before. It's a pretty large cemetery, and the vast majority of the city's dead get buried here during the day. It's kind of almost kind of a park, maybe even a little bit of a picnic area. People wander around in here. Kind of a nice kind of green space of sorts in the city. But at night, you do know that at nighttime, during the nighttime, the gates are closed, and this place is off limits to the public during the night. And you know that there's a few entrances to the City of the Dead. You can kind of see them there on the map, kind of on the northwest side, the west side, and the south side to get in here. There's there's a wall around here, a decently high wall actually. It's about a 20-foot high wall that circles around the exterior of the graveyard, and punctuated by these iron gates at various intervals there where those pass in here. And at least from what while a lot of the city's dead are buried here, a lot of those are mainly the more well-off people. I mean, as the city grew, space became a little more valuable, and so a lot of the people that are still buried here are kind of a lot of the older families with money. The place is dotted with these large, elaborate kind of crypt setups throughout the whole area, and most of the wealthy families of Waterdeep, typically have them and their ancestors interred here. So yeah, if you guys head over that way, it is nighttime, so it is currently closed. So that will be up to you how you guys manage to get around that.
Is there guards at the gate?
There are, yeah. So, if you guys, I assume you guys probably just kind of approach from the north since that's the direction you guys are coming from. Okay. So, you guys are coming up the road here, and it's decently late at night because you guys, your bar's closed. It's probably, around midnight or so, and so the streets are quiet. There's still, a few people here and there. Some, beggars that are still out or just trying to kind of find a place to rest their head for the night. But as you get over, you're kind of coming down the street just north of the city of the dead there. You can see the kind of large, kind of wrought iron gate that kind of comes in from the north here. And, posted up on either side of it, you see kind of just two city guards standing there guarding the entrance.
How far between guards?
Let's see. Well, the gate is probably about. Gate's probably about 10 foot across, and so there's one on each side. There's the pillars on either side of the gate that the gate's wrought or hinged onto. There's one just kind of standing in front of each. You can see on the map there's the little kind of tower looking things on either side of the gate. There's just one in front of each of those kind of pillars.
Enough space where I could jump over the wall and put a rope down?
Oh, I see what you're meaning. You're meaning the distance between the gates themselves? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, so guard 1 and 2 are on the gate. How far until the next guard from there?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I mean, for the most part, from what you can see from here, you see these two guards, and then kind of going to the south, behind buildings, and then heading to the east, behind buildings. The wall continues, and just kind of seems to be wall. It looks like, for the most part, at least on the exterior, the guard postings are just on the gates. I mean, it's a graveyard. There's certainly people who would, want to get in there and rob things, but it seems like it's not really a huge bastion of activity, usually. And so it's mostly just the gate guards on the exterior here, at least.
All right, I'll go find a nice stealthy place to get everybody over. Jump up on the wall and anchors the rope.
Okay, sure. So you kind of look around the area trying to find a good spot that would be a little more out of view. And, heading to the east a little bit, you can see on the map there to the east of that gate, there's, the Beacon March Road along there, and then, there's that Zendulith way to the north. Kind of going around that corner of the bend of the wall. There aren't really any guards here, and then the nearest one's facing the other direction, kind of around a corner. And so you feel pretty confident in this being a decently quiet spot for you all to make your way up and over. And so you hop up on the wall and manage to get a rope kind of fastened in a place, so that the rest of you can all kind of shimmy your way in. So Torda, if you're jumping up on the wall, like you get up on the wall and you kind of look out over to the south of you here, kind of across the city of the dead. And at night, most of this place is pretty dark. There are a few kind of lamp posts here and there, mostly along some of the like larger paths that kind of wind around here. Some of like the larger central areas. There's a few lampposts around. For the most part, it's pretty quiet. There's a couple of you can see maybe a couple of crypts have some candles lit near them, kind of like votive candles from either family members or well wishers or whatever else that still kind of flicker in the night. And you do see a few places around the city of the dead where there seems to be somebody walking around with like a torch. So it seems there are a few kind of guards on the interior on the patrol, just kind of keeping an eye on things. But there's not one immediately close to you right here. But you do see that kind of movement around throughout the area. Like it's quite a large graveyard. I mean, it's at least like a good mile or two. Probably more like a mile. It's probably like at least a mile across. So pretty large kind of park area. I assume the rest of y'all kind of follow up the rope and over the wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you drop down on the other side here, and you're currently kind of right on that northern edge of the city of the dead right now. And from what you were told by Raynar, the kind of crypt complex where the Never Ember family is set up is a little ways away from you all. It is... Oh crap, I forgot these location pins don't work anymore in Unity. Hold on. Let me look which one it was. Deep. So bummed that plugin didn't port over. It's such a nice plugin.
That's what you get when you don't treat your modders nice.
Right? Let's see, that's not that one.
I'm sorry, but Smiteworks brought that one on themselves. That guy did a lot of really good work.
He really did. Yeah, that whole situation was a bit of a mess. Let's see. And that one is the Brandath area. Okay, so you actually don't have too far to go. Let me just... Do I have something I can drop on there? Hold on. Oh, I can drop this. I'll make this a pin. Let's see. Brandath. Okay, I think you all should be able to see that pin that's there now. Okay, so from what Raynar told you, like the kind of crypt complex for the Never Embers is kind of on the northern-ish end of this, so you don't have too far to go. You can see it without too much difficulty from where you all are. It's not too far away. It looks to be kind of enclosed about, like you can see kind of a large area with its own kind of wall and fencing around it, inside of which are a few different buildings that you can make out. So it seems they have like a couple separate crypts in here. And there's like, there's trees around, the outside. There's kind of trees all over the place in here. Very old, large trees, kind of casting shadows all over the place in the darkness here. So, what do y'all get up to? Oh, go ahead.
But before we kind of dismount from the wall, does everybody feel like they have to go? or can we just stealth in? Like, how do you guys feel? Like, I can become a foggy mist. I'm not worried about myself.
I mean, I consider myself pretty much immortal, so I'm not worried about myself.
I don't know. You went down pretty easy, like a sack of potatoes, man.
Well, when you sucker punch someone, that's what happens. If you ever want to fight fair, let me know.
I mean,
I don't want to
think
beat you like
everyone
Nyx.
has to go in, but
Your mic's muted, Riz.
oh.
There you go.
I don't think everyone has to go in, but I mean, we can always pick some people to go in and some people to kind of keep watch and use the sending stones.
Yeah, true.
You see, sort of like scour immediately.
You don't have to use the sending stones.
Big scowl.
I can keep watch and let you guys know if anything happens. And I
Oh,
can.
who can open the door if it's locked?
Oh, that's me.
Zayara.
I mean, I can too, but I don't think we need the whole building to fall down.
Yeah, you would want Zayara then.
Her or me, Mix isn't smart enough, and Jinku would knock it down like you.
Well, how about Torta and Zyara go in and get this thing?
Okay.
Boo, you stay up on the wall, and I'll go down onto the ground and be kind of like a lookout midway point for him.
Okay. And what about Jinku?
Jinku's if we need a distraction. She can just like run into the wall or something and cause a lot of noise.
Okay.
That works.
All right. So, with that then, Torta, Mix, Zara, you three, drop down off the wall. And I think Mix, you were saying you just wanted to kind of like post up midway between the wall and the crypt, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I gotta bounce, I can just go and dash this phone in the air.
For sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you three kind of make your way to the south. Keeping your eyes peeled. You making sure you guys don't have anybody, any guards coming up on you here, and you get to that kind of intersection north of the Brandath area, and Mix kind of posts himself up, kind of in the darkness under some of these trees, to keep an eye out on this particular area. And Torta and Zara, you two continue on towards the south. So you eventually come to the exterior of the kind of Brandath Crypt complex here. And you can see that this is... there's several kind of smaller structures inside of this, and then kind of one larger one as well. And there's a wall kind of surrounding the entire area aside from just in the front. There seems to be just kind of a pretty small, simple iron gate. Almost seems more decorative than securative. Going between the kind of entrance side of this, between two of these kind of crypt buildings.
I have no. I'm like, is the gate open? We just walked in.
Like you walk up to the gate, and like the gate itself opens without too much trouble. It seems to be not locked. It's kind of seemed more there for decorative purposes, it seems.
I'll head through.
Okay. All right, so the two of you step into the area here. Boo, you're up on the wall, kind of keeping an eye out, and you notice, and this is something that that you're aware of this. Like this isn't out of ordinary for you because you know this happens, just from being in Waterdeep. At night, there's kind of an interesting phenomenon that happens in the City of the Dead. For some reason, and nobody really knows why, at night, hundreds of drift globes kind of appear from out over the kind of inhabited area of the city and float their way over to the City of the Dead and just kind of cover the whole place. Like it's kind of floating above this whole place, these little kind of glowing orbs of sorts. And like you just know, like from living here in Waterdeep, like these, like they come at night, they float around, and in the morning they disappear, and nobody really knows why that happens. But like from where you are up on the wall, but you have a fantastic view of this. Like, and you've heard of this before. You've maybe even kind of seen it a little bit before in the past, but not from like a view like this. And it's quite something to see. You've never quite seen such a display. It's quite beautiful, with these little kind of glowing golden orbs floating over the whole area, kind of casting small pools of light everywhere. Torda and Zara, as you two kind of step into the gate here. So inside, let me get you a map of the crypt here. So you guys are coming in from the north. And inside this crypt area, there's like there's a particularly large tree, kind of just inside the gate area. And you can see to the west and to the east of you, there are these two kind of smaller crypt buildings, the ones that are labeled A and D there. And then towards the back, you can see kind of groupings of some even smaller structures, like the B and the E and F there on that map. And then there's kind of a large central one in the middle. It almost looks kind of like a miniaturized church almost, in the central part of the area here. And you guys are kind of taking a look around, just kind of taking in the sights here. And Zara, roll a perception check for me here. Okay. Zara, you kind of look to your right, and you see that this large tree next to you here seems to be moving a little bit. And you kind of hear in this low voice, at the two of you, "Only those of Brandath blood are welcome here. Begone!"
Torta the tree is talking to us.
Cool. I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know how I feel about this either.
I'll try to perform and say, hey, we have permission from Reynard to be here.
Reynard, you say. What proof do you have of this?
My word.
Well, anybody can say that it's their word. I've Sorry, but I'm going to need a little more proof than this that a member of the family has allowed you to come here at night.
He sent us on a quest looking for his mother's tomb for an item we need to look for his father.
And you kind of hear this kind of low chuckle out of this treant of sorts. And, and he says, his mother's tomb, you say? Well, now. And you see this, like, one of his like branches kind of extend across like the entryway here, and he says, if that's what you've come for, well then I certainly am not going to be letting you past. You've already had enough trouble with his mother's tomb recently. I shan't be letting any others here.
What do you mean, other trouble? Who else has been here?
That isn't really something for you to know.
If her crypt was disturbed, yes, it is for us to know. Don't make me wake up Raynar to come talk to your
If
moldy
her
ass.
tomb was disturbed, then we'd like to tell Raynar.
Well, I can tell you that it was disturbed, but who or what I cannot divulge, except to perhaps someone of the family blood.
Can you tell us if there was anything stolen?
Do I really look like I can fit in there?
How about I just kick the tree's ass and we go in anyway?
Torta, I don't think that would be necessary.
Alright, I'll stay here. Y'all run and get Raynar, because that's a long trek.
Did either of you, like the sending stones that you guys have, did you distribute those to people at all? Who has those?
Well, Zyara still has the one, and then she would have made sure that probably Boo had
Mix
the
had-
other one since he was on guard.
Mix picked the one up I had, because I threw it down after all the Mind Flayer stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't know
I'd
what
handed
happened to
that
it.
to Boo before I jumped down off the wall.
Okay.
But I mean, like, if I see them wave at me, I can mind them with Zyara in an instant.
Okay.
So what kind of proof would you need from us in order to let us in to view her tomb?
Well, I suppose if you can't bring a member of the family here themselves, something signed with their seal will suffice.
All right. We will see what we can do. So I kind of gestured to Torta to come with me and not turn into a multi-armed frog monster.
All
I'll
right.
sulk and walk away with her.
Okay. So you pretty quickly make it back over to Mix, who's still kind of waiting under this tree, and it hasn't been very long at all. It's only been probably like a few minutes, and you guys come walking up.
The guardian of the crypt won't let us pass without knowing we have permission. I guess her tomb was disturbed recently, and so he's being extra stringent.
Oh, that's not good. But we
No,
may be gone.
Well, let's
that's
get Boo
my
involved.
thoughts. He couldn't tell us if something had been stolen.
Can Boo see us from where we're at, like on the wall?
Yeah, I mean, Boo can pretty much like it's maybe a little difficult to like see you directly just because of all the trees. But I mean, he knows where the crypt is, and so he could probably kind of guess where you guys are at. But
I'm a pretty fast frog. I'll just hop to him.
all right.
So 30 feet at a time should do the trick.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem at all. Okay. So Torta, you take off back over towards the wall, and Boo, you kind of quickly find yourself with Torta leaping up next to you.
I'll give him a rundown of the protectors, saying we can't get in without proof. And that the place had been robbed recently.
I bet what we need has been stolen. All right. Let's see here.
I mean, I can try to hop in and sneak in, but I don't know if that's what we want to do because this place is huge.
A second. Give me a second to concentrate.
One.
Change into Raynar. It should. Well, it takes 6 seconds. It's an action, but
Okay.
with my disguise self thing.
Ooh, smart. Okay.
Does this look convincing to you, Torta? Do I look like a son of a bastard?
Sort of like croak really loud because you just scared the shit out of him because he still doesn't trust magic and he'll push you off the wall.
I don't have feather fall or anything, so I'm gonna hit the ground.
All right. So, Boo, you come kind of tumbling off the wall there, and land kind of roughly on the ground, taking kind of 4 bludgeoning damage from the fall. And you kind of groan a little bit and kind of get up and manage to dust yourself off.
I'll hop down like ready to fight.
And like the whole way, I'll stand up and say, "You didn't have to push me. No, I can't jump like you yet."
So is his voice the same? Like it's Boo's voice, just Raynar's body, or is he fully disguised as Raynar?
That's a good question. Does disguise self do voice as well, or is it just visual?
The way it reads is you make yourself, including your clothing, armor, weapons, and other belongings on your person, look different until the spell ends or you dismiss it. You could seem a foot shorter, taller, thin, or fat, or in between. You can't change your body type, so that's not a problem. Otherwise, the extent of the illusion is up to you. The changes wrought by this spell fail to hold up to a physical inspection, which I
Okay.
interpret as touching, because it's not a visual inspection. You interpret that however you like.
So, from what I am seeing, just looking around, it sounds like there are kind of 2 similar spells in this sort of vein. So there is Disguise Self, which you're doing now, which is an illusion spell that doesn't affect sound. It just alters the visual aspect of how you look. Because there is also another spell, Alter Self, and that one does include sound of your voice and things like that, since it like physically alters yourself instead of just illusory alter yourself. So
That would make sense because that one's a level 2 versus the disguise self being a level 1. Even though it's like an animal enhancement thing, I don't think that it should give me the abilities of a level 2 spell. So I don't think my voice would change.
yeah, so you're gonna have to pull off a decent impression here. It sounds like.
Use prestidigitation. Can't I use that? No, I probably can't do an actual voice, huh? I'll grumble the whole way and like trying to practice this voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Raynar doesn't have like a particularly unusual voice. He's a pretty kind of basic accent, so it's not too difficult to get the hang of. You think you can kind of, puff your chest a little bit and kind of maybe sound a little deeper. Hopefully it's enough.
So I'll approach the tree.
Okay.
And I will just say, I give permission for the greatest adventurers in Waterdeep to inspect my mother's tomb.
Do a performance check for me.
Killing me.
How dare you require him to prove himself?
Ooh. Let's see.
Does Reynard's family have house guards that we know of and that I would have seen?
And the only one you've really seen around his house is the butler guy that you've run into anytime you've gone over there. His family probably does somewhere, but not any that you've physically run into. Why? What were you thinking?
To use mask of many faces to look like one of his guards, but if he doesn't have any, that's not going to work.
Okay. So Boo, you come up here with your Raynar disguise, and this tree ant kind of looks you over here a bit, and he says, "Mr. Raynar, it has been some time. I have not seen you in a while. Your mother was a lovely person."
Yes, she was a lovely person from what I've been told and remember. I remember if his mom died in childbirth or something.
No, he was alive when she died. She got ill and then died when he was a child.
So he was still
Young.
He's not charismatic, so I'm sticking with that's how he said it. Intelligent, he's not good looking here.
So even though your performance is not the best, it seems like it has been a while since Raynar has come here. Perhaps even years. But it seems to be enough to win over this treant, who kind of groans a little bit, and you see it kind of move back into its original position, kind of leaving you to it. It seems sufficiently pacified by your words here. And you all are standing in the middle of this crypt complex.
Let's go inside, adventurers, who are in a party of which I am not a part of.
Nailed it.
I say that loudly and tossing my voice kind of in the direction of the tree ant, and then try and make my way inside here with the group.
Okay. All right. So, looking around, you hear, like I said, there's these, couple of different buildings around the area, and all of these crypt buildings all have kind of large stone doors leading into them. So I guess it's kind of up to you which ones you go to first. Radar never actually specifically specified which one was his mother's tomb, and so you kind of find like you guys came out here, like you kind of assumed like, oh, there's a crypt, and it's the the crypt for the family, and here they all are, and it seems that that's not quite the case. There's a few different buildings here that you weren't aware of.
Any way to like investigate and see if we can tell, like, is it
It's
trying to? Well, I stopped there. I was trying to think. I don't know if anybody told me that the treant said that the. No, he did. He said that the crypt got.
Yes.
Robbed. Is there any way to investigate and see, like, if I can, or anybody else could determine, maybe one of the doors was opened more recently than the others? Like,
Sure. So go ahead and roll an investigation check for me if you're kind of looking around, seeing what you can see. Okay.
what? Man, my rolls.
Okay. Are any of the others of you kind of looking around at some of these buildings, seeing what you can find out?
Yeah, I'll help him out. Or not. I'll just go back over to the tree and kick it.
Okay.
Uh,
I think.
James looking for ghosts.
Looking for ghosts.
Zara and Mix, are either of you investigating at all?
Yeah, I'll help.
Okay.
Yeah, Sayar's probably trying to see if she can figure it out.
Okay. So, among all of you here,
Or not.
oof. Mix, you're the only one that seems to really have a good grasp on things.
Reality.
And so, looking around these various buildings, let me just kind of give you a little bit of description about kind of what you're looking at here. So, starting with A in the northwest here. So you can see this building is like all the buildings here look fairly old for the most part, but this one doesn't look quite as old as some of the others. You can see on the exterior of this building, it's marked with these statues of kind of almost kind of like angelic looking figures. You can see kind of men and women, and they're kind of rendered and like almost like they were like celestial creatures. They have wings, and kind of reminds you a bit mix of some of your own ancestry, with the way that these are kind of depicted here. B in the southwest, these are kind of four small buildings that you can see seem to be kind of inlaid in in the side of these buildings seem to be these kind of sealed drawers of sorts, and at least from what you are aware of burial practices, these smaller buildings are kind of like ossuary buildings of sorts. So instead of like a full-on tomb, they're kind of smaller, almost kind of drawer compartments, just like for storing the bones on their own. C in the middle, this larger building, like I said, is almost like a kind of a somewhat shrunk church-looking thing, and like this thing's actually 2 stories tall. And this one is particularly fanciful compared to the other buildings in the area. It's constructed of this beautiful marble, and has these kind of grand pillars kind of lining around the outside with these carved, capstones on either end of the pillar. and you can see above the door the name Brandath is carved in common above the door here. D in the northeast. This is by far the oldest looking building in the area. And you can see carved above the doorway of this one. I don't think any of you can read this. Let me see. Do any of you speak Dwarvish?
No.
If I'm there and I see a language that I don't understand, and there's enough writing, I would cast comprehend languages on myself.
Okay. So Boo, like on this door, you can see is carved above it in Dethic runes, which is the Dwarvic alphabet. And some of them are a little worn away, but you see the letters B, R, and then like kind of a worn space, N, and then kind of two more worn spaces, TH, and then you see kind of a larger space, and then CRY, worn out space, TS. So it seems like this also says like Brandath Crypts, but in Dwarvic and worn away by time. This particular one, like I said, is quite old, very age-worn stone, and there's clearly signs that over the years there's been like renovation attempts. There's like patches here and there of like newer stone, where things have been repaired as time has gone by. E over on kind of the eastern side. This is like the stonework here seems very new. However, the crypt itself seems to be quite in poor repair. You can see from the outside that the roof of the crypt has caved in, it seems, in some parts. And there seems to be some damage to that particular building. And then lastly, in the back corner, F, there's a number of very small mausoleums, kind of in a little circle in the back here, each of them with either like a family name or a single name, seemingly just kind of some smaller kind of relations were placed back here. And in terms of disturbance, as you all are kind of looking around, you guys have been kind of trying, the doors on these crypts, all these stone doors, and all of them for the most part seem to be locked, except for D, the older building. It still takes a little bit of effort to like push it, but the door to D does not seem to be locked.
Well, let's try that one.
Okay. So you all head inside this particular crypt. So when you head inside, you see... let's see here. In the center of, like, there's various kind of little areas in this crypt structure, little sealed drawers in the walls and little sconces where it seems at times in the past candles where you can see like remnants of wax and things like that. And there's a central area of the crypt, which as you can see marked with the number 5 there on that map. And this particular piece is very, very clearly newer than everything else in here. like like walking into this crypt, like there's that kind of lingering stench of decay, but it's somewhat muted by like the dust and the time. Like it's clear that this structure has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. But this kind of central room, there is a sarcophagus in the middle of that room, which is the lid of it is sculpted with kind of a likeness of a quite beautiful woman. And you can see kind of laying, it seems actually on the ground next to the sarcophagus here. You can see a very wilted, decaying bouquet of flowers, completely dried out, that seems to have been knocked onto the floor at some point. And you also see above the crypt on the ceiling, there is a very faded and chipped portrait of someone on the ceiling. A very kind of elderly man, kind of a fresco that seems to have been peeled with age. And looking around, like you can see at the very bottom edge of like the portrait on the ceiling, there seems to be an inscription, which Boo, you're able to read, which this also is still in Dethic runes.
It's on the ceiling.
Yeah,
I'm not able to read it. I have to touch.
Oh, you have to touch it. Okay, I'm sorry.
I have to touch the surface on which the words are written.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You do see some more runes up there at the bottom of the portrait on the ceiling, but they are, again, in Dethic, so you would have to get up there to be able to read what they say.
Torta grabs Boo instantly and jumps.
Probably takes a second try. I mean, if he's grabbing me unawares, I probably hit my head or something, and then
Hey, face smooshing counts.
yeah, I guess face smooshing would count.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so that particular kind of chipped and faded inscription below this man mentions Lord Henri, which it almost seems, at least like, especially since this sarcophagus in the middle of the tomb seems so new, it seems that this may have originally been whoever this Lord Henri was' tomb, and was later replaced, or moved and replaced by Lady Alethea here. Looks like. You also see, and like all of you are able to read this, as it's written in 4 different languages. At like the outer edge of that portrait, there is a very clearly newer inscription that reads, "The beauty of our age in death is watched over by the spirits of her ancestors."
I will tell the group those things. But that's what I determined it says.
The hell does that mean?
That means we need to open that sarcophagus.
All right. So do you attempt to do so?
Torta will grab the top and see if he can budge it.
Okay. So you roll a strength check for me then as you try to scoop that.
Hey, Frogman, we have a loxodon for a reason.
You have a frogman for a reason.
So Torta, like you are kind of on
I
the.
do the heavy thing.
Jinker, are you helping him out here?
I'm just kind of like whining, like, I do the heavy thing.
So I mean, at first, like Torta, you're at one end of this sarcophagus here, and you're trying to like lift, and you manage to like like you can feel it shift a little bit as you're trying to like pull it up. Like it seems there's like kind of a lip on it on the inside, as you would kind of expect with this sort of thing. But you can't quite get it over the edge on your own to be able to like scoot and open it. And, Jinka, you kind of observe him straining at one end of this capstone here.
All right, Pocket Peanuts, come help me.
And she'll rush over Giddy and help.
Okay. So Jinku, go ahead and give me a strength roll as well. All right. So the two of you, at both ends of this sarcophagus capstone here, managed to successfully get the lip on the inside out of the edge and scoot it off to the side, kind of laying it down on the ground, leaning against the box. And so here, you see that you see a skeleton, and it's still kind of adorned with these pretty fine clothes, which, there's definitely a bit of decay going on with these clothes in the time that has been here. And you notice a couple of things. So one, typically when people are buried in sarcophagi, you usually see them, kind of posed, nicely, arms folded, that sort of thing, kind of resting position in this. And the skeleton that's in this sarcophagus seems to be rather jostled. The arms are kind of down off at the sides. Like one of them, like the elbow is kind of like the wrong direction. It seems like somebody kind of rooted around in here a bit and disturbed this skeleton of Alethea from its original position.
I take it the brooch we're looking for is not in there?
It does not appear to be. You do see, on the the top that is around, the wrappings that are around the top part of the skeleton, you do see a bit of an area that looks to have, where a brooch would usually be. You see it looks a little torn. So it looks like there was a brooch that was pinned there that was grabbed and ripped off of this. You also actually give me if any of you are kind of checking out the body, trying to look through this sarcophagus here, give me an investigation check. I'll see if you see anything else there.
I would like for ghosts room.
Okay. Jinku, you look around for ghosts, and as you're kind of looking around for ghosts, you remember that they're usually invisible, and realize it's maybe a bit of a silly venture to try to look for invisible things.
Ghosts are not always invisible. Sometimes they set themselves.
True.
Oh, he got you there.
True.
Wait, does Torta notice what she's doing?
I mean, you see Jinku kind of looking around, but I don't think you'd really know what she's doing. She's just kind of looking around the crypt bit.
He's ready to have some more fun. He drops the ring on, sneaks up behind her, taps her on the back.
Pocket Peanuts.
She gets excited, tries to control. She's like, "Are you a ghost?"
Yeah, I'm your ghost. Give me Pocket Peanuts.
Ghosts don't have to eat.
You can't be my ghost. I'm alive.
I'm not your ghost. I mean, I'm your ghost. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
Guardian
I follow
angel
you.
ghost.
I follow you everywhere, Jinku.
Wait a second. What's those dude with pop peanuts? You're dead. You don't need.
It's my tribute. I need a tribute.
That makes sense. There's no pop peanuts out.
I'll just grab the peanuts and run.
So, those of you that were investigating the sarcophagus, so like Mix, Boo, Zara, you all notice that there seems to be a small box inside the sarcophagus, and it's actually open. Like it had like its lid is open, and it seems to be kind of tucked to the side. Kind of like the bottom side, like kind of near where the like the hip bones of the skeleton are at. Maybe take like a closer look at that little box.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at this box, like the inside is kind of a soft, almost felt. It's not felt, but like that kind of material you see in like kind of fancy like jewelry boxes, that kind of soft cloth. I'm not sure what it's made out of.
Usually velvet.
Or velvet, yeah, velvet. That's the one.
The stuff you hate.
Yeah, I hate velvet. Screw velvet. So there's this kind of velvet fabric in there, and you all see that there's like an indentation in this fabric that is pretty much the same size, it looks like, as like a perhaps a marble or an eyeball or something of that sort. It's empty, but something of that size used to be there.
Zaira just sighs and snaps the box shut and kind of like reposes the woman's remains, since they did promise Raynar that they would treat her with respect.
See her doing that, I'll use Mage Hand to help her. I'm not touching a dead body, that's gross, but I'll use Mage Hand to like help, arrange the arms and stuff too.
Wimp.
All right. Once that's all done, do you guys, put the cap back on?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I would try to.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd say you and Jinky working together are able to, get that lifted back up and, position it over the top and kind of wedge that down back into place so the, the lip on the inner edge kind of connects where it should. All right, so it seems a few things have been taken from here. Question is who?
As a final touch there, once we finish, I will. Do you guys mind if we take about an hour and prevent desecration from happening to this particular tomb again? Silence is consent.
Boo.
And then I'll start casting a glyph of warding on there.
Okay, just like on the sarcophagus itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, you're able to successfully put that together there, and with that, you find yourself in this tomb, deathly quiet, bit of a kind of dankness in the air.
Well, maybe we should ask the tree if he knows who did this.
Assuming he'll tell us. I already tried to talk to him once, but maybe now that we've gotten quote unquote Raynar's permission, he'll be more forthcoming in what he saw.
Well, it can't hurt to try. If we know who did this, we can get what they took back.
Okay. So, Boo, are you still disguised up as Raynar right now?
No, it looks like if we're kind of basing this off of the disguise self spell, and this would make sense because I see it as kind of like chameleon type thing almost.
Mhm.
That lasts an hour, so I would have to I'd have to do it again. But if they were suggesting talking to the treant, I would have like already changed into Raynar and gotten ready to go
Sure.
grill him.
Sure, makes sense. Good plan. Okay, so you all head, back out of the crypt here, and the treant sees you all, coming back out here, and sees quote unquote Raynar here. He says, "I trust you had a good time paying your respects, Lord Raynar."
I don't know that I would call it a good time, but just for future reference, if that room explodes, it's because we put a glyph of warding over my mother's sarcophagus. I'll not have her rest disturbed again.
Yes, certainly. I am sorry that I failed you once in that regard. They came by another way and made it past me into the tomb before I could do much about it. I can't really, once they're in there, I can't really do much with my size. I can't fit in through the door.
I understand problems like that. Can you tell me who they were, perhaps? Maybe I can have a discussion with them about grave robbing.
Well, I mean, I can't say I had the best of look at them in the night, but, they certainly had a more of a low-life look to them. Thuggish garb, that sort of thing.
Sounds like Zentrum to me, guys.
Well, it's hard to tell with description that vague. I don't suppose you noticed any markings on their garb or any tattoos?
Let me think. Let's see if he remembers anything here.
But a tree never forgets.
No, Jinku never forgets.
Jinku forgets.
Jinku forgets a lot. Jinku's not living up to her reputation. So the Striant kind of thinks for a moment, and after a minute or two of it kind of considering, you can see it kind of moving its branches about and trying to remember the picture of what happened. It says, "Well, I can't say that I remember any specific markings, but I remember on the on one of their cloaks there was some sort of golden marking, or yellow, or something of that sort."
Was it a snake?
No, it wasn't a snake. I think it was just like a yellow circle or something. I'm afraid I don't have any more details than that, but I just I remember a glint of yellow in the torchlight.
Well, we will have to work off that information then, but thank you for telling us what you know.
Certainly, anything for the family.
Could you tell us their race? Were they human?
As far as I know, yes. They were fairly well wrapped up around the face. But, they were all human sized. If there was something else underneath, who can say?
Do you really think of anything else to ask the street of? Would it help us?
Hmm.
Who roll a history check for me. Nice, very nice. So, with that info, Boo Mix, like you guys are thinking back, trying to remember things you run into, and you do remember seeing yellow used before in the sewers a long time ago. There were kind of yellow markings that you followed in the sewers once.
And that was to get the other ones, wasn't it? To find that led us to a Xanathar hideout, didn't it? Yellow markings.
Mm-hmm. They were yellow sun, to be specific.
Dun 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 dun.
Well, I guess we know where we need to go then.
Or at least where to start.
Oh, yes, but I'm buying some cheap clothes before we go back in the sewer.
Fair enough. So after you kind of finish questioning this tree out here, I assume you guys kind of make your way back out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys come walking out of the tomb here, and as you're making your way, kind of north up the road here towards where you guys had come over the wall. You see kind of coming around the corner a kind of elderly looking guard, kind of coming around the corner with the torch, kind of just making his way, doing his rounds. You notice, like looking at him, the armor he has on seems to be marked with some of the symbols of Kelimvor, who's the god of the dead. And he sees you all here and kind of raises his torch in your direction and says, "What? City of the Dead is closed at night to the public. Who goes there?"
Well, we were paying respects and somehow we got locked in here. We've been trying to get out for a while, but well, yeah.
Oh, Lord Radar, my apologies. I did not recognize you at first.
Sometimes I don't even recognize myself.
Well, I hope you managed to pay good respects at your family crypts. Bit of a late night for it.
Yeah, it like I said, we were paying respects earlier. It seemed like, unfortunately, my mother's grave was disturbed, so it took several hours to sort that out. And by the time we came out, it was darkness had fallen and all the gates were locked. And we find ourselves where we're at now, talking to you.
Okay. Roll a deception check for me, Boo. All right. All right. So you managed to make a convincing enough show of it here for this guard, and he's understandable about the situation, and glad to hear that you were cleaning up some damage or desecration to one of the tombs here, and kind of looks you all over and says, "Well, here, let me help lead you out. We don't want you getting held up, Lord Raynar here. Here, follow me." And he starts heading towards the gate to the north here, kind of motioning for you to accompany him here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys make your way out of the gate. He unlocks the kind of wrought iron here at the entrance, and bids his greetings to the two guards outside, and says, "It seems Lord Raynar here was cleaning up some disturbance at his mother's tomb here tonight, and got stuck inside a little later than he thought. Well, you all be on your way. Hopefully we see you again in the future, visiting the city of the dead. Perhaps at a more reasonable hour, of course."
Yes, you guys should probably do a little more thorough checks before locking the gate. You're right. I'll see you in the future.
Wonderful. Well, good night to you all. And he turns around and begins heading back into the city of the dead with his torch, continuing his rounds, and you all are outside.
Oh yeah, we need to skedaddle and get around the corner so we can change back before we get caught impersonating royalty.
Indeed. All right, so you kind of make your way up the streets, and I guess it's been a good, probably a couple, like an hour or so, maybe 2 hours or so. Oh yeah, I guess it's been a couple hours because you cast that warding glyph. So it's like early morning now. It's like 3 a.m. Like late into the night, and the streets are pretty dead, pretty quiet. So you're easily able to kind of duck out of sight and change back into your usual self before you continue making your way back up to Troll Skull, I assume.
Yeah,
Okay.
we would be going back to Troll Skull. I think some of our magic users could probably do with getting their spell slots back.
Probably, yeah. All right, so you guys head back that way with this new information to go off of. I think with that, we'll call that good. We started a little late, so we'll end a little late and make up for that. And we should be good for now. Let me take a look real quick and see if there's anybody else I know who is doing stuff right now. It's like it's just Rob. Alright, we'll go raid him. Off we go. And all of you came by, thanks for coming. And we will see you next time. Dunk. Off we go.